Hello and welcome to day 12, our final day of the 12 days of whiskies, where we've been looking at single malt English whiskies. I'm joined by Luke John.
Konnichiwa.
And we've had a bit of a journey, haven't we? We've had our ups and downs. We've had our imposter English whiskies. We've had our English whiskies that aren't really whiskey as far as I was concerned, but we've had some really good ones as well. The barrel aged infused with beers, and I'm hoping that we may have left, not saying the best, but one of the better ones till last. So today we are looking at
Adnams 12-year-old Distillers Choice. So day 12 with a 12-year-old. Age statement whiskies within England is very rare to come by, especially of this caliber. I think this is the first 12-year-old.
the first they've done. I believe that English distillery have a 15-year. Yeah, and they're the only other one we had an age statement on, with the 6-year, which was
Optional Virgin Oak. Yeah.
But yeah, so Adnams, for those that aren't in the UK or into beer, Adnams are, again, another brewer. They've been brewing beer since 1873 in Southwold, and they opened up their copper house for making spirits in 2010. They released their first whiskey, I think, in 2014, and then this was released in 2023, so 12 years into the process. So this is from that original batch that they made and laid down. One interesting, perhaps, note on this is they are using French oak. They're not using American bourbon oak. They are using French oak. I don't know how that will impact the flavors that we're getting. But again, a 12-year statement, it's going to impart quite a lot on it.
Yep. Garlic and cheese.
So I'm going to crack this open.
I will say as well, while he does that, not only does the bottle come with a glass top, which is very swanky, but it also comes in a nice display box. It's brilliant. You can buy these separately as well. And yeah, I keep mentioning about the packaging because it just makes it that little bit more special.
I do love the boxing, but you were pointing out to me just off camera beforehand that this is part of a series, isn't it? This is their
Distillers Choice.
Yes. So there are other ones in the series. They do have a standard non-age statement whiskey that they produce. I think is normally aged for about 4 years.
Yeah.
But they don't put an age statement on it because 4 years doesn't sell. But yeah, this is going to be interesting just because the oak and the age, and seeing can this compete against a age statement from a Scottish whiskey.
So what we're going to do is we're going to, for the last time, do our 3-step process. But I will say that Adnams recommend this with a little drop of water. So that is their recommendation. So we will see if that changes throughout.
51%. So I'm not surprised they recommend a little drop of water to add in there. So let's go for that nose first, see what we're getting off this. Oh, colour, actually. You're right, I skipped that straight away. It's not as dark as perhaps I was expecting, especially after 12 years in the wood. It obviously looks a lot darker in the bottle, but again, it's not the palest we've had on this.
Yeah. But it looks good.
Yeah. Now the nose.
Ooh. Very botanical.
That's a concerning word. I don't like that word. Not from New Year's Day.
I think in last year's 12 Days of Whisky, we had Jameson's Black Label, and that was very botanical as well. And that came Was it out on top? I believe
It depended what we were looking at, whether it was going with a Glenfiddich or whether it was going with that.
But Glenfiddich was also botanical, which was quite good.
I'll be honest in saying that what I get off the nose is wood, but then there's the soft, I'm going to say like a dried fruit, but I'm not going to pinpoint what that dried fruit is. You're probably going to turn around and say, Liam, that's a date, that's a fig, or something very particular.
I'm probably thinking I'm prude.
Prude, okay.
But I'm also getting like a little bit of banana, a little bit of clove.
Okay. Time for a taste test. Our first English 12-year-old age statement single malt whiskey. I made that sound longer than it should have. Cheers, everyone. Cheers to you, Luke.
Cheers. Very different.
Smooth. That is so smooth. But the oak is there. There's still flavours building at this moment.
Yeah, but it's very botanical. There is a lot of different layers going there.
I would say the thing that hits me first was there wasn't any heat. It was just the smoothness and the grain. But as it passed the back of the tongue, the heat level rose suddenly towards that area of the tongue. But it didn't go too high, and then it dipped off, and it left floral notes.
Yeah.
As it ended there. But I like the taste in my mouth right now, but it's left.
That's what she said. But yeah, it is botanical. It's a little bit more delicate, especially from the other ones that we've had throughout this little run. Yeah, totally unique and different, I would say.
We'll go for a second taste of it natural, au naturel. Let's go in. It's even more delicate and sweeter the second time round for me.
Dried fruit, banana,
bit of honey.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's just, I don't know if this is going to be the whiskey drinkers' go-to.
It's different. Again, as I said, I haven't done enough research anyways on this, but what the French oak may be imparting, because we're used to, with most Scotch single malt whiskies, using American oak and then only finishing in maybe French or Spanish oak that have been used for wine. This isn't that case. So I will tell you immediately, if this is a first use French oak cask, it's completely different than bourbon. None of that pepperiness.
Yeah.
You know, a virgin oak cask from America. It's so much softer and delicate. But I think we should take their advice and add a few drops of water, especially as we are looking at cask strength here. 51%, near enough cask strength, I would say.
Yep. Sounds like a plan, boss. As we said, this is their recommendation.
All the noses. The nose is sweetened.
It's sweetened, but it's amplified. Those floral notes.
Yeah. It's sweetened, more floral.
I mean, I'd like to know if, people watching, what are your thoughts on kind of floral, botanical types of whiskey? Obviously, it goes down to the way it is distilled. So, as I've mentioned previously about like the column still, the higher the column still, the more floral, delicate notes that you get out.
And how many times it's distilled?
And how many times it's distilled compared to the big copper still that quite a lot of people use nowadays, especially in Scotland. So,
Are they using copper pots? Because they call it copper house.
I would reckon so.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no. It is very different. It's not what I was expecting.
No, I was expecting, based on how long it had been in the wood and the oak, I was expecting a bigger wood hit and flavour to come through, but then the flavour of the wood afterwards in the mouth to be left there, so whatever that may be imparting. But it doesn't. I mean, there's no wood in the taste for me at all.
The bizarre thing for me is that it's a 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
It tastes as if it's pretty fresh. Like it hasn't been aged. I would say because of all the different layers of the floral, the sweetness, you don't actually get that age statement.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there. With when you get an age statement, what you're expecting is a bit more on the body, because how long it's been in there, the more of the wood imparting that. But it is very smooth, and we don't know if it's triple distilled and then maybe put in there. And yeah, I'm going to go in for the last taste on these 12 days and see how the water in the method they recommend works.
Yep.
Cheers one last time, Luke.
Cheers on it. Cheers to all.
There's a spiciness now at the front of the tongue. But it's not anywhere near the pepperiness that you get from a bourbon or from an ex-bourbon cask. It's so much gentler. Again, because of how smooth it is, it feels slightly thin compared to what you're perhaps expecting.
Yeah.
And I know thin is a terrible sounding word, but it just doesn't have that body or mouthfeel that you're perhaps expecting from its age statement.
Yeah. And especially with this being at Adnams. So Adnams known for their beers.
Yeah.
So
And they produce some high ABV ones as well that everyone loves.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very different. In fact, all of the whiskies throughout these 12 days have been different.
Even the ones that weren't whiskey?
Even the ones that weren't whiskey. Taste the Turkish delight, that type of thing. Would I buy it again?
Well, I think it's important to note what the price is for this.
Yeah.
Because for a bottle of this, as a 12-year-old, I think we're looking at around £75. And if you look at a 12-year-old from Scotland, you can buy, I would say most of them sell 12-year-olds much cheaper than that.
Yeah. I mean, even without knowing the price, I don't think I would get it.
Not for the box. You'd buy the box separately.
You can actually buy the box separately, £15. But for me, it's a little too floral.
Okay. I did not mind it. I found that it was floral, but because it was smooth and light, thin slightly, that floral element was able to pronounce itself more. And I found it refreshing. I don't know about talking about buying again, but what I will do is I probably will have a think now and through all the whiskies that we had, and you lot can join us tomorrow for a live, where we're going to talk through the whiskies, rate them our worst to favourite, and also look at potentially other English whiskey options that we didn't cover, because as I said at the beginning, we're only looking at 12 and we've tried to get a cross section of different varieties. So age statement, non-age statements, how they've been aged, in what they've been aged, just to give a representative. And we can try and then answer that question. Does English whiskey, well, can it and does it compete with the best whiskies that are sold throughout the world? Your Scottish, your Japanese.
I'm pretty sure we will find out tomorrow.
Yep. Thank you for joining us on the journey. Hopefully you can all join us tomorrow for the live. If not, you can always watch it on replay.
Yep. And if you're new here, please go back and watch from day one. You will find many interesting English whiskies. Please drop a comment, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on a live stream tomorrow night. Adios.
Take care, everyone.